Welcome back to the Red Dirt Road podcast. Marshall Farnsworth here with our guest that we've had on before. This is his third time on, Ian Krochak.
Yeah.
Canadian indie country rocker. How's it going?
Good. How you doing, Marshall? Good to be here.
Awesome. Like I just said, I was actually recorded a podcast this morning. Today is Monday. It's actually Labor Day. So I got to get that episode out today and kind of behind. So this one will be out next week. So this is the rare 2 podcasts in a day, but got Brooks and Dunn, Rock My World, Little Country Girl, kind of a long name. So we had you on here for one of the Christmas songs, Brooks and Dunn Christmas songs, end of last year. And one thing we're going to talk about in this episode and then a bonus episode is My Many Faces. If you want to just give maybe a brief little summary of that, when it was released originally and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate that. No, that one I wrote a lot of the songs in probably 2008, 2009. Like those songs go way back. And it was one of those things where back then, you always had like the 13 songs on an album kind of thing, right? And CDs were a big thing. So I was really focused on getting a lot of songs. And I think initially it was probably 30 songs and it distilled it back to about 13. So I actually recorded that song in Calgary, Alberta. I don't live in Calgary anymore. And I worked with a producer I found literally, I think on the internet, and it turned out that he was a Juno Award winner. So that's kind of like your Canadian Grammys. And so I've just, by happenstance, I found this guy. So I recorded over probably a year and a half. So treks every Saturday to this guy's studio and super happy with it turned out. So then, but I ended up releasing the CD. And of course it was prior before social media, right? So it was a lot more difficult to get it out there and get it heard. And then I ended up getting into an MBA program and moved. And so never really promoted it. And it was one of those things where it's like unfinished business. So recently, it was just with COVID, I guess, right? It's just like, well, you know what? I got to put this thing back out there. So I had it remastered and put it out there. And it's been pretty well received. I've been had some really nice comments. And, when things kind of open up, probably more so here in the next couple of months, hopefully, then I'll probably go and play some shows to support it. So, but yeah, it's definitely it was a real pleasure to record that one. And when you look back on it, you're like really happy with the way it turned out.
So it was originally released 2013.
Yep, 2013. And there's different versions of it actually. So the original one was released 2008, and then more songs added in 2013, and then remastered this year or last year and released this year. So yeah, it's been several versions of it. And now I was able to actually finally, give it some justice and promote it and put it up on the streaming platforms and what have you. So it feels like it's like, yeah, check that box. I'm happy it's out there.
Nice. Can't wait to talk about it. And I'll have you do most of the talking when we talk about it, so you can tell, what the song is about, or, thought process behind writing it, whatnot.
Sounds good.
So this song, I believe this will be the first song we've had you on here that's a single. I wanted to get you on here with one of the, not just one of the album cuts,
Yeah.
Because you're one of our prime guests on here. We had to get you on for one of the actual singles.
Awesome. No, this one I was very familiar with and grew up listening to it.
So move this bike over here. This is the 6th song on the Hardworking Man album, kind of continuing middle of this album, written by Bill LaBounty and Steve O'Brien. Didn't find anything on Steve O'Brien. Bill LaBounty seems like was mostly known for songwriter in different genres. So this is only this one of 2 songs released on this album that does not have Kix Brooks or Ronnie Dunn writing it. And it's actually the first Brooks and Dunn single that is not written by Kix Brooks or Ronnie Dunn at all. So they didn't have all of the songs on the last album. They had at least one of them written. So this song's a little bit unique for that. And I'm gonna go through the breakdown of the song. So the intro, it's a very upbeat song. It's about 20-second kind of upbeat, funky rock kind of an intro. Overall, the song is more of a rock kind of a sound than typical Brooks and Dunn for this time of their career. They got more of a rock sound kind of in the 2000s.
Yeah.
This first verse, there's a lot to break down here. A lot of descriptive language. I think overall, the writing definitely different than Kix Brooks and Ronnie Dunn, but the writing I think is pretty good. It's very descriptive. On the podcast I just did this morning, She Used to Be Mine, it was kind of the opposite. Not very descriptive writing, written by Ronnie Dunn, and it wasn't bad. It's just much, much different. Mm-hmm. So it says this. It's talking about this quote: "Little country girl has a T-top Camaro with a scoop on the hood and two big speakers blasting Johnny Be Good." So a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Sure.
A lot of stuff there. Not real, just generic things. I don't know if you, I try to, now when I do these, kind of break down if there's some descriptive words. So T-top Camaro, I kind of had to look up what that is. And I noticed it once I saw it, but that's a car that's got this T-top roof shape, and it's got these two kind of removable pieces on each side that you might see in a convertible or some kind of a sports car. The scoop on the hood, it's just, kind of describing, this sort of this older kind of cool looking car, but the scoop on the hood is something that allows the flow of the air, the wind to go into the engine, or it said actually that sometimes it just looks like it goes through to the engine. And it says she acts like Madonna, listens to Merle. So that's obviously going to be Madonna and Merle Haggard. So Madonna, I'm not an expert really on her, but the Queen of Pop she's known as, and I thought probably some type of a diva is maybe what she's referring to this girl's personality. And then Merle Haggard is like the opposite. He's, widely regarded as one of the all-time country greats, and, very traditional working class kind of a songs. And then Johnny Be Good, doesn't really need much of a explanation. Everyone knows him. So what do you think about this first verse?
It's interesting because it's I always get caught with this one every time I hear the first few chords, because it reminds me of a CCR song, like a clear I think it's Old Man Down the Road. It's that kind of swampy riff. So like literally if you played them side by side, it sounds just like CCR. So I agree with you. It's a little rockier, swampier kind of vibe. And then the lyrics are hilarious because the lyrics are very descriptive, and those are the ones they're very kind of like country, you know what I mean? And you see a lot of artists now writing very similar lyrics now, like she looks like the country, acts like the city, or something like that, right? And it's definitely a play on words, and they do it very well here. So it's kind of they're kind of being rock stars in this one, like, you know what I mean, the way they sing it. So that first verse, definitely very descriptive. I would agree with you.
Also, check out if you've not seen the music video, we'll review that eventually, but I haven't watched it in a little while, but it's a very, very funny music video to watch. I remember it's got this cheesy background of the world, and it's got Kix Brooks with these like ridiculous looking sunglasses. So I think the whole song is kind of a bit of a joke, but it's kind of funny.
It is, like, I noticed that too. I watched the video this morning actually, and those shades actually are coming back, which is crazy. Like Oakley and who else is it? It might have been Spy. They're bringing those shades back. So I thought that was hilarious. But he, I noticed that they had 5.4 million views of that video.
Really?
So yeah, so I was like, wow, a lot of people are watching that video over the years. I mean, it was released in '93, so I don't know when it was put up on YouTube, but probably for a long time. So that's a lot of views. So it shows that they have quite an audience. It's
Yeah.
a fun video though. It's kind of hokey, but it's fun, right?
And then, this song kind of unique. It doesn't really go into the chorus right away. It goes into the second verse, and it's kind of describing how this girl looks a little bit more than just the car and stuff. Snakeskin boots made by Calvin Klein, cheap sunglasses from the Five and Dime. I did not know, and I've heard the song a bunch, but hadn't really caught my attention. Five and Dime. And so I had to look that up. I was like, what is this? Five and Dime? And I had noticed, so I believe it's kind of a type of a store. It's not really a specific store chain. And so I noticed one of them was Ben Franklin. And so I've been to one of those, and it's basically just these stores that were really cheap and had items for like 5 or 10 cents, which is probably, the equivalent of like a Dollar Tree now, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. We have them all over the place here. Dollarama, Dollar Tree.
Yeah. That's why I was like Five and Dime, like, 5 cents. What is that, like a Tootsie Roll or something? I guess the individual piece of candy.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it's funny because that kind of caters to that demographic that listens to it, like like that age. I think because Five and Dime, like I'm a bit older than you. I'm much older than you probably, but I remember that expression being used all the time. It was like, yeah, go pick up something at the Five and Dime.
That's funny. I like that's in there. Yeah, because I never would have. Someone's maybe said that in the past, but I didn't even know what that was. Five and Dime. But and says that she aced math class without opening a book. So she's either some kind of genius or, some kind of cheating's going on. She's, I don't know, flirting with someone to have them do all the work or something.
Yeah.
And then goes into the chorus, and basically, this not as descriptive as the verses, kind of just says that he wants this girl, little country girl, and he wants her to dance with him. And the quote that I pull out of here is, "1 step, 2 step, get in line, or get in a line. I got to find a way to make you mine." So even though not written by Brooks and Dunn, it's definitely a Brooks and Dunn type of a chorus in this, something that you would dance to probably at a club or something back then.
I'm picturing people two-stepping to this. Like it was written for that exact reason, where it's like, when they're clicking their boots together or something like that, singing the lyrics of this song, it's like so intentional,
Yeah, I think the chorus might be my favorite as far as just how it sounds. I don't know. It just goes the best with Kix. Brooks, I think, does, as well as he could. The Ronnie Dunn songs are definitely my favorite because he's got a great voice. But I think Kix does well on the chorus. I don't know. The verses don't really do a whole lot for me with his voice.
100%.
And then you got one more verse here. And it kind of sounds like this guy is has got her attention. Maybe they're in a relationship, and sounds like he's trying to keep her around. He says, quote, "I tell her that I love her, but it ain't enough. She says I got to learn to loosen up." So, he's kind of like maybe a nerd or something like that. And, this girl's, and it talks about them going out on a Saturday night, that kind of thing. And then it goes into the second chorus, and it's the same as before. I also just noted that when he says, "Got to find a way to make you mine," really long, stretch out that word mine. I thought that was pretty good vocals for Kix, as good as he could.
Yeah, he pushed himself there because he's not normally known as my take on it's exactly like yours. I mean, he's not as strong for sure. but whatever they did in the chorus propped them up, right? Like whoever produced the song was trying to get the best out of him big time, you know?
Yeah, they must have that last when he said that mine, that's probably they probably did that a few times, like just to get that through.
Well, as a guy that does 50 takes, I can sympathize with that for sure. I mean, he probably did.
And then there's an outro just keeps repeating, "Rock My World, Little Country Girl," and you actually at one point hear Ronnie Dunn say,
Yeah.
I don't remember if he says the whole title of the song or he just says "Rock My World." I can't remember, but you hear him clearly just for a brief moment. But yeah, that's kind of my breakdown of the song. What do you think about this song overall?
Overall, this is one of my top 5 from them. But the only thing is, like when I heard Ronnie Dunn in that spot you were just talking about, I wanted to hear more of him, right? Because he's got that voice and he's got such a strong vocals. And I'm, oh yeah, there he is. But one thing that's always been, and I'm listening to it again in the last like today, is when they use the fiddle or the violin for the solo, I remember always thinking that was a really strange choice, that they could have used like a guitar in that solo and it would have really rocked. And I don't think the song would have lost anything. You could have still 2-step with it. It could have been this like bang, 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 but that kind of twangy guitar. They totally could use that. But instead they chose to use a violin. So I thought that was really interesting. So maybe they want to offset the rockier part of it with kind of more country, I don't know. But that's the thing that, like, hearing again today, like I said, it just jumped out at me, like, interesting choice. But overall, I like that. I like the song. Kind of brings me back.
It was interesting that you said that about Ronnie Dunn, because I thought something that I would really would like him to do. I mentioned on here before, is it would be so cool if they took all of the songs they had that were sung by Kix Brooks and just like re-recorded them with Ronnie Dunn singing. Because
yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, they might not all be that much better, because some of them might be more suited to Kix Brooks, but some of them might be a lot better because he's got a great voice. So it would be very interesting to just see how this sounds. I'm sure, at least I think at the very least the chorus, where there's more of a less of a speak and more of a singing. I'm sure Ronnie Dunn would do the chorus a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree. That would be interesting. They'd probably kill his ego. Hey, Hicks, we're just gonna re-record these, but we're not gonna have you in them. Are you cool with that? Yeah. Yeah. But I would listen to it. I mean, that'd be a neat little experiment, actually.
It would be funny. Yeah, I like the sound of this song, especially it's got that intro, that wah, 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 at the beginning with that guitar. I like it. It's a good kind of mix up, because I don't think many of their songs so far in these first 2 albums have a lot of like this like rock kind of a sound.
No.
So, I like it. I'm not sure where I'd put it, kind of ranking the songs in this album, because I don't know. I just think Ronnie Dunn's vocals on some of these other ones are just, make them better to me. But overall with the song, I think it's good. I think written well.
Yep.
Which, I usually like the Brooks and Dunn written songs, but I think this one is a good exception. So not one of my favorite ones, but I think it's still a good song. If it comes on, I'm not gonna skip it or anything like that.
Yeah, you'll play it through. Yeah, I mean, and the songwriting is so good. Like, I mean, these guys that are writing these songs are just so skilled, right? Like they just churn them out. It's a factory. They're so gifted. So that's what when I hear lyrics, I'm like, yeah, here we go. Like, I mean, it's just a play on words. It's so, yeah, it definitely stands out for sure.
Definitely. So before we end this, we're gonna have another episode where you get into your album, but I wanted to kind of as a teaser, I guess, is just go through one of these songs. It's my favorite one from the album, Half the Man. That's my
Oh,
favorite one from it.
excellent.
So I just kind of wrote for pretty much all of these just a little brief. I just kind of wrote like a little brief note, sometimes a question, and I figured you'd kind of take the mic mostly, but this one stands out, just real country kind of sound. And does it have a pedal steel guitar in it?
It has a dobro.
A
So
what?
it's it's a dobro. So it's kind of like it's kind of similar to the pedal steel, but it's almost a cross between the pedal steel and a slide guitar if you're playing like a regular slide guitar. But they're sitting with on their lap and they're sliding over the strings and frets. So it's that was intentional because we thought of putting in a pedal steel. And I use a pedal steel in a lot of my new songs. In fact, I just recorded one last week and we had the pedal steel on that one. It's literally my favorite instrument. But that one itself is a dobro. And it's the producer, Danny Patton, one of the things about recording with him is he had access to a lot of really good musicians. And so I said, what do you hear on this? I hear a dobro. And he goes, well, I know someone that plays a dobro. And we had him in there that following Saturday. And I think he plays in a couple of the tracks. Yeah. And it's a very sentimental sound, eh? Kind of brings you back.
I'm looking it up right now because I'm not an expert on, instruments and stuff. I had played guitar, for, about a year in middle school, but I hadn't really heard of the dobra, but, I can see now it kind of is similar to the pedal steel, but I love that sound. It sounded great in it. I pretty much, when in doubt, put that in there,
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, it gives you that sound. I mean, the dobro too, it's literally just, they come with it and they play it. Whereas the pedal steel, it probably took the guy that plays on some of my tracks, Rory Gerber, he's like, where we're from Manitoba here, he's like institution. He plays on all these different tracks. So very fortunate to have him on there, but it takes him probably 40 minutes to set up. He has to literally construct this pedal steel and then literally deconstruct it. Yeah. And mic it. So it's actually quite a big deal, when you bring it in. So when you bring someone like that in, you get bang for your buck. You want probably get them to play 3 or 4 songs because it takes so long. You feel bad. It takes so long for them to set it up.
So the dobra is like a lot easier to kind of carry around places and set up. Yep.
Big time. Yeah. And literally just play it on their laps or whatever. I've seen different styles. I've seen people have it with a strap. I've seen people like sitting down with it on their lap. Like I've seen a few different versions depending on, I guess, the player and how good they are.
So who is the man in this album or in this song?
It's the dad. It's my dad, basically, like half the man.
I thought it might be your dad, but yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, I can roll. We call all the early mornings with the big old moon still in the sky. We get up early. It's my dad. He drinks his cold coffee and he's out the door. Like that kind of stuff, right? Just memories of growing up. And then you know what? When you're fortunate as I am to have really good parents and a really good dad, you just kind of can I even live up to it, right? Can I even be half the man? So I wrote that one. Man, I wrote Half the Man well before I recorded it. Like, I bet you I wrote that when I was probably about 25. Like, that's a while ago. Not to date myself, but a long time ago. It was always one of those things, I got to record it. And I had different versions of it. I had the picking version. Normally you hear me picking it. With that one, I actually strum it. So I played a little bit differently than the way I wrote it.
So are you planning on maybe releasing like a single from this album? Because that would be my vote, is Half the Man. I think that needs to get on that Canadian indie country chart, get that up there, because this could compete. This should be a #1 hit up there, in my opinion.
Thanks for saying that. No, I appreciate that. I haven't thought about, because I've been it was one of those things where it was just for me to get it back out there was kind of an ordeal. So, and then I've been so focused on like, turning the page and getting the new stuff out. Cause I literally released a new single 3 weeks ago, called Invincible. And that's very different, right? It's pretty, like, it's edgier. So I'm not even so sure, like, even what the rules around re-release music and put them back out there. I'd have to look into that, but I certainly could re-release it as a single. But yeah, it's interesting. I appreciate you saying that, because to be honest with you, it's my favorite one as well.
Really? Yeah, I was going to ask you that because
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure you probably have multiple ones, but I didn't know if you had one in particular.
Yeah, that's definitely the one for sure.
All right. Well, that is going to be a wrap on this episode. And if you want to check out the other kind of a little peek behind the curtain of these other songs, other 8 songs, then check out the next episode for this. Be out a few days after I put this one out.